Hello YouTube and welcome. In this tutorial I will be introducing you to what MySQL databases are and how to create them and how to manage them. And we will be using AntServe. AntServe provide great quality free web hosting and also paid and premium services if you're interested in upgrading to a reseller account or master reseller account for a flat one-time payment. So visit AntServe, AntServe.com to get your hosting. There will be a link in the description. So what you want to do is you want to sign up, and you want to click cPanel Login. You then choose what server you're on. I'm on the free 2 server. You type in your username and your password. And that logs you into cPanel, or your website's control panel. Now cPanel is quite nice software. It has these different options, each with its own icon and a descriptive name. These options are then split into sections. So we have preferences, mail, files, logs, and this allows you to just manage everything easily, and there's not much of a learning curve involved. So we want to scroll down until we get to databases, and we want to click on MySQL Databases. Okay, we then are taken to this page. Now, MySQL databases are mainly used with PHP scripts, right? That's going to be the main reason. So let's say you're installing WordPress or Joomla or a custom script that you've bought from somewhere like Code Canyon. You're going to need to create a database and then type in the details of that database into the script's installation process, or into a document or a PHP file. You're going to need to give the script those details somehow. So to create a database, we go to create new database, and it will start with a prefix, which is usually your cPanel username, and then you can type in a name, whatever you want, So let's do test database. Okay, we press create database, and it's as simple as that. Okay, it's added the database, and if you go down a little to current databases, you'll see the new test database that we created. Now, we also need to add a user to that database. The database itself is the database. What the user does is the user connects to the server and is granted access to that database. So you need a user to make changes to the database and view the database, and edit and manage the database. So that some random can't just go in and mess around with your database. Okay, you need some form of authentication, whether that's you doing the authenticating or your PHP script using the details you provided. So we scroll down a little to MySQL users. Then we go to add a new user. Again, we have that same prefix, usually your username, to the control panel, followed by an underscore. Again, we can type in whatever we want here within reason. So let's type in test user. Okay, we then ask for a password. Actually, let's do that. We're asked to retype the password, and if the password's correct both times, we get ticks down the side here. We get our password strength. You can even click the password generator button and it'll generate a secure password for you. But remember, to copy and paste that somewhere safe, because they usually are quite confusing passwords with crazy symbols and stuff like that, and numbers, and they're completely random, very secure. But just make sure you remember it or write it down, or you make sure that you know what your password is, because you're going to need it later on. We then click create user. Okay, and it says here added user tools underscore test user with password 2230 Jack. If we press go back, it means we've created the user. Now we need to add the user to the database. So it's basically saying, look, if you want to access this test database, this test user allows you to do that. So we scroll down to MySQL users again, but underneath add new user we have add user to database. So we go and find our user, test user, and the database we want to add the user to. So test database. We then click add, and we then select the privileges that we're going to allow the user to have. Normally I would just go all privileges. Okay, and then it says user tools test user was added to the database, tools test database. We go back, and that's it. We've created a MySQL database, we've created a MySQL user, and we've added that user to the database, so now we can give the information to the PHP script. So now that we've done all that, I just want to take the time to summarize the information that we're given so that you know exactly what to put into the PHP script from all those details that we've just created and made. So the first thing that your script is going to want to ask you for is the host name. Okay, basically that's what server is the database on. Normally that's localhost. Okay, and if you don't know what host name means, certainly it's localhost. Okay, it's quite advanced stuff if you're hosting the MySQL database on another server. Then you're going to want to have the database name. Okay, again, write these down, print them out, save them somewhere. It's up to you. And that is your prefix, usually your username to cPanel, and then whatever the database name was that you typed in, so test database in our case. We then have the database user. Again, we add the prefix, and then we have our test user, which is what we typed in before. Then we have our database password. Okay, this can sometimes be called a user password or anything. If it has the word password in it, that's going to be the password for the database user. Can be worded a bit differently though, and that is 2230 Jack. Okay, again, it's what we inputted when we created the user. Now that is all the information there that you're going to need to give your PHP script or your database configuration file or whatever it might be. But that's all the information there you need to connect to your database. It's all set up and it's ready to go. So I hope that gave you some insight into MySQL databases. Thanks to AntServe for providing the hosting platform that we use today. And I hope you understand, how MySQL databases work on cPanel and with AntServe web hosting. Again, visit antserve.com, AntServe.com, for free and cheap web hosting. If you like this video, feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe.